Okay, here's the first video in which we will actually do some interaction with the STS software. Again, pause or back up the video as necessary. In this one, we're going to start the setup of the database. Now, STS uses what's called a MySQL database in the background. And in it today, or in this video, we're going to set up the commodities, car codes, stations, and locations. So we'll need to collect some information about that. If you look in the STS User's Guide, there's some forms you can use to fill out that will help you do this sort of thing. Because the database has these 7 bits of information, we've divided it into 3 sections. We're going to do the first 4 parts in this video. Next video will consist of shipments and cars, and then the third video will be the setting up the jobs, which is a little more complicated. So what railroad are we going to use? Well, let's pick out a Soo Line branch line in Wisconsin. This is based on the Cripple Creek Central, which was a model railroader magazine, project railroad back in 1901 and 92. I modified it slightly, and my rationale behind this is it's kind of like a branch line where I had the chance to work back for the Soo Line back in the 70s. To put the name into the system, we have to go to the database management and the settings, click on that link, and you'll see a form pop up. Fill out the railroad's name and its initials, click the update button, and there you go. This process we'll be using throughout the video. Here's a schematic diagram of the branch line. This never really existed, but there was an Emerald Junction or Emerald Station sometimes because the line used to go through Emerald, Wisconsin, but the Sioux realigned their trackage quite a while ago. In our railroad here, we'll pretend that the Sioux actually put a branch line down to serve Emerald after they took out the main line. We're going to have 7 customers on this branch line. Northwest Aggregates and Wisconsin Canning both ship and receive. Western Cement, Farmers Co-op, and the Team Track just receive stuff. So we'll have 2 that ship and 3 that receive. So what kind of commodities are we going to be dealing with? To add them in the database, again, go to the database management section, click on the commodities link, and enter the commodities in the same manner we did with the railroad names. Here you can see the commodities that I've entered for our sample railroad. The commodity code on the left really is whatever you want to call it. I typically use something short, and then the description contains a bit more information about it. If you want to ever change one, if you click on the commodities link on the left, it'll bring up that same form that you used to enter the commodity, and you can change it. Click the update button. And there you can see that we've changed the name of that commodity from just plain old LP to LP gas. All right, what about cars? We have to have car types in the system. And so we're looking at the commodities that we're dealing with so far. Gravel, we can haul that in open-top hoppers or gons. Machinery typically shipped on flat cars and box cars and gons. Canned goods, box cars. Packaging material, box cars. Bulk cement is normally transported in short covered hoppers, sometimes called shorty. These are about 35 feet long quite often. Bag cement would be on pallets in box cars. Fuel would be transported in tank cars, and so on down the line. As far as car codes, there's a lot of people have different opinions about car codes. Here are some samples. Box cars, people use B's, X's, XM is a little more official. Flat cars, gons, open-top hoppers. When it comes to tank cars and covered hoppers, though, it gets more complex because there's a lot of different kinds of those. So we're going to add some car codes here. And again, the process is the same. Go to database management, click on car codes, enter your car codes. And these are the ones you can see that I've entered for this system. Stations, right now, we're only going to deal with station names. We're not going to deal with routing instructions yet. So these are the 4 stations that we're going to have for this railroad. We've got Chicago on one end, which is our staging yard in the east. St. Paul, which is a staging yard on the west, and then Emerald Junction, which is where the branch line starts, and then Emerald itself. Now, talking about locations. Locations are a little more complex. For STS, a location consists of a station name, a track name, and a spot. Prototype railroads have been using systems like this for quite a while. Union Pacific's ZTS stands for Zone, Track, and Spot. Very similar. For STS, your tracks and spots can be optional, but you should come up with a name for any location where a car could be spotted. The red arrows in this case indicate where we would probably spot cars on our Emerald Junction line here. The first two are Emerald Junction Track 1 and 2. Those are the interchange yard, or the yard between where the branch line starts. Then we have Northwest Aggregate. It doesn't have any spots because it uses a bucket loader to move their cars around. Wisconsin Canning has door 1 where they receive incoming packaging materials, and door 2 where they ship. The Western Cement Company has a spot for their bag cement and for their bulk cement delivery. The Farmers Co-op has a spot for gasoline and a spot for LP. The Team Track, of course, has no spots again because the cars can be placed anywhere on that. And then we have the Emerald passing siding and the Emerald main track. Cars can still be placed there, although they are non-customer sites. So here we see all the locations that are on stage at the moment. Now we're going to be talking about some off-stage locations as well. Our customers have to have places where they can send shipments, and from which shipments can be sent to them. So looking at our two customers that both ship and receive, Northwest Aggregates can ship material both to Prairie Materials in Chicago and to Agricultural Industries in St. Paul. Wisconsin Canning ships to Banner Wholesale Foods and Super Value. Northwest Aggregates in turn gets equipment from Caterpillar, and Wisconsin Canning gets supplies from Ball out of Chicago. The three locations that just receive stuff, don't ship, are a little easier. Western Cement Company gets things from Cemex in Chicago. The Farmers Elevator gets stuff from Coke Refinery in St. Paul, and LP from Senex Harvest States. Those are all fairly straightforward. Now here we have some non-customer locations. Our on-stage ones are the Emerald Main Track and Emerald Passing Track, as we mentioned before. They're not customer locations, but you can still spot cars there. Then we have the Chicago Yard and the St. Paul Yard. And again, those are non-customer sites, but we still need to be able to keep track of cars that are spotted in those locations or set out in those locations. So finally, here you can see a list of all our on and off stage locations we've entered into the system. And I entered some comments about a few of them. And if you compare these back to the schematic diagram of the branch line, you can see that just about everywhere we could set out a car has been identified as one of these locations.